If your driving test is coming up, then this video is for you. I get learners messaging me every day telling me that they have their test coming up and asking me for my driving test advice. So I thought, you know what, let me just make a video about it. And so yeah, this is exactly what I say to my own learners before they go in for their actual driving test. So 16 years as an instructor, and these are the things I come back to every single time. So I'll be talking about stuff like nerves, the examiner, the main driving topics, and ending with my most important driving tips. So by the end of this video, you'll be feeling more confident about your test day. Let's get into it. Test day nerves are completely normal, and look, it's not just the learners. I've been a driving instructor for 16 years and I still get nervous every single time one of my pupils goes for the driving test, obviously because I want them to pass. And I've never once sat in the back seat during a test and not felt nervous, so you're absolutely not alone on this. Yeah, I've had pupils physically shaking and they've still passed. So if you're feeling nervous right now, that's okay. It actually means you care, and that's a good thing. But here's what I want you to understand. Nerves and your driving ability are two completely different things. You wouldn't be taking your test if your instructor didn't believe you was test ready, yeah. So just trust that, yeah. And now a few things that genuinely help. First, breathe. I know it sounds simple, but when we're anxious, just taking short, shallow breaths that makes you feel worse. So before you start the engine, just take a slow, deep breath in and slow breath out, and just reset yourself. Then next, get everything ready the night before. Don't be scrambling around the morning of your driving test looking for your provisional license. Get that sorted the night before. And the third thing, if you're feeling really overwhelmed during the test, like really nervous, like I've had learners who have started their test and their leg be shaking, yeah. So it's okay to pull up somewhere safe and just take a moment to get yourself together. The examiner will be totally fine with that. And finally, once you're in the car and you start driving, the nerves usually start to fade, because the doing is always better than the waiting around. So trust your training and just drive the way your instructor has taught you. So let's talk about the examiner. The examiner is not out there to fail you. They're not sitting there looking for reasons to mark you down. They're simply doing their job. And most of them are pretty understanding people. Now, some examiners are chatty and some are quiet. If your examiner doesn't say much to you during the test, don't let that throw you. Don't read into it. A quiet examiner doesn't mean a harsh examiner. In my experience, even the ones who barely say a word are always fair in their marking. So don't waste your energy trying to figure out what they're marking. And here's an important thing I want you to take into the test. You start with a clean sheet. That's it. It's a completely clean sheet, and you're allowed 15 minor driving faults. So the examiner is not expecting a perfect drive. They know mistakes happen, and if you do make a mistake, don't beat yourself up about it. It's done. It's a minor fault here or there. Doesn't matter. Two things I want you to make sure you've revised before test day: your show me tell me questions and your maneuver reference points, if you do use reference points. So at the very start of your test, before you even drive anywhere, the examiner is going to ask you a tell me question. Now, you want to start your test on a positive note. So that tell me question it's literally the first thing that happens. So if you get it right, you start the test with confidence and you show the examiner that you've actually put the effort in to revise the questions. And in my eyes, it creates a good impression and shows that you really want it. And the same goes for your reference points for each maneuver. So go over them, know them, so that when the examiner does ask you to carry out that maneuver, you're not trying to remember on the spot. It's already there. So yeah, revise both, go into that test prepared. Right, let's talk about the actual driving itself. So don't complicate it, just focus on one thing at a time. So whilst you're driving, don't think about what maneuver you might get or stress about any previous mistakes you may have made. Don't think about anything else apart from what you can see ahead. That's it, just one thing at a time. So you're coming up to a T-junction, just think about that T-junction. Coming up to a roundabout, just focus on that roundabout as if it's the only thing between you and that pass certificate. And carry out what you've learned in your lessons. Don't overthink it. Work through each situation based on what you can see ahead. So just one thing at a time. Now this one links directly to something you've already done, your theory test. So if you remember the hazard perception part, you need to bring that exact same thinking into the car on the test day. So I want you to look well ahead and scan for hazards early. That's a key thing. The earlier you spot something, the more time you have to react. And that's exactly what the examiner wants to see. So they want to see that you're reading the road and not just reacting to situations last minute. So if you spot a hazard, if you're late with it, you're going to be rushed, you're going to be braking sharply, last minute decisions, and that's when mistakes happen. But if you've seen it early, you've got time, so you can plan, you can adjust according to the situation. So keep your eyes moving, keep scanning, keep looking as far ahead as you can, and look out for those hazards. The drivers who pass their test aren't just reacting to what's right in front of them, they're always one step ahead. During your test, and probably more than once, the examiner is going to ask you to pull up on the left when it's safe to do so. Now the mistakes that learners make here is that the moment they hear the words pull up on the left, they go straight for the brake and start slowing down without checking a thing. So don't rush, check your mirrors first, signal, and then start braking. So you use the mirror signal maneuver routine, and make sure you have pulled up at a safe place, so no blocking driveways or stopping at a bus stop, and keep a safe distance from junctions. Right, so you've parked up, now let's talk about moving off. Sounds simple, but learners do pick up a serious fault for this. So when you're ready to move off, you need to take effective observations. And I want to stress the word effective, because there's a difference between you actually looking and just going through the motions. So really look and check for approaching vehicles in the distance behind, and assess their speed, how far they are and how fast they're coming. If you move off and a vehicle has to slow down even slightly because of you, the examiner will mark that, well, they can mark that as a serious fault depending on how much that vehicle had to slow down. So take your time and look for a safe gap, and don't forget the check that the examiner will absolutely be looking for, your right blind spot check, just before you move off. Right, let's talk about T-junctions, actually observations at T-junctions, because according to DVSA stats, observation and judgment at junctions is the most common reason people fail their driving test. So before emerging out, you really need to assess what's happening. Don't just take a quick glance and rush out. One of the biggest mistakes I see is pupils pulling out and making another vehicle slow down. So if your view is obstructed, then lean forward and edge out to get a better view. And if in doubt, just wait. Don't risk it. Or rather, you pick up a minor fault for hesitation rather than rushing out. Turning right and crossing the path of oncoming traffic. So this applies whether you're turning right at a crossroad or turning right off a main road into a side road. So this is one of the most dangerous maneuvers you will do on your driving test and in everyday driving, because if you switch off and for some reason don't notice the oncoming vehicle, that can end as a serious collision. So the examiner will be ready to react. So the rule here is simple. Never turn right in front of oncoming traffic unless you are absolutely certain it's safe to do so. And a good method to judge a safe gap is if you can walk across, then it's safe to drive across. Roundabouts. The number one thing I want you to take from this is know where you're going before you get anywhere near a roundabout. So do not approach a roundabout confused. Do not arrive at a roundabout still trying to figure out which exit you need, because if you're unsure, in my experience, everything else kind of falls apart. So what do you do if you're following the sat nav and you're genuinely not sure which way you're supposed to be going? Simple, guys. Ask the examiner before you get there. They will tell you, they will help you out, even if it's the independent driving part of the test. And the other thing, at roundabouts, make sure you count the exits every single time, especially when you're turning right. Look, it doesn't matter how well you know the roundabout. On test day with nerves, the examiner sat next to you, it's easy to get confused with the exits. So know your exit and pick your lane accordingly. Following on from roundabouts, this moves me on to my top driving tips, because I've seen so many people fail in this situation. If there's one piece of advice that could genuinely save your test, it's going to be this. If you're in the wrong lane, go the wrong way. So let me explain. This happens mostly at roundabouts. The examiner's asked you to turn right, you've approached the roundabout, and you've suddenly realized that you're in the left-hand lane. and you haven't changed lanes, there's no time to change lanes, so you're committed. So here's what a lot of learners do in that moment. They panic, and from that left lane they turn right, and that would be marked as a serious fault, because what you've just demonstrated to the examiner is that you think it's acceptable to turn right from the left hand lane. So that would be marked as a serious fault, and you will fail your test for that. So what you should actually do is just go the wrong way. If you're in the left lane, just take the exit that lane gives you. So you could either go straight ahead or turn left wherever that lane takes you. Guys, going the wrong way isn't a fault. You won't be marked down for that. Yeah, the examiner will simply redirect you. Now, if you're watching this and there's still some topics where you're thinking, you know what, I'm not 100% on that topic, and you've still got a few days before your test, then please check out my Ultimate Driving course. It covers every driving topic you need to pass your test, and it's designed to give you the correct knowledge so that when you get in the car with the examiner, there are no gaps. But please, if you're watching this the night before your test, don't download the course, because the last thing I want is you to just cram in new information in such short time. Yeah, it's going to get too much to process. So yeah, but if you have got time, then the link is in the description below. Go and check it out and make sure you're walking into that test with every topic covered. Maneuvers. So during the test, the examiner is going to ask you to carry out one maneuver, just one. So the first thing, when the examiner asks you to do the maneuver, take a few seconds before you start to just think about your reference points, think about how your instructor taught you to do this, visualize it, and then start. Yeah, so don't rush into it. It's not a race. The examiner is not timing you. Check your blind spots throughout, keep those observations going, and make sure you check all around the vehicle, yeah, and stop for pedestrians, cyclists, and other vehicles. And here's something really important. If you do make a mistake with your positioning, so let's say you're over the bay lines during the bay park, or you've touched the curb whilst reverse parking, it's okay to readjust. Don't just leave it there. Don't just give up. Yeah, just do your observations and readjust and sort it out. So take your time, use your reference points, keep your observations going, and if something doesn't look right, just fix it. Now, the final thing, and something really important, is your mindset going into the test. Look guys, even if you don't feel 100% confident, not many learners do. I want you to go into that test believing that you can do this, because the truth is, not just about driving, but anything you do in life, if you go in thinking that you're going to fail, you're already giving yourself a negative result before you've even started. So walk into that test center believing in yourself, believe in your ability, no negative thoughts. Guys, you're only going to be driving for around 30 minutes. Show the examiner that you're a safe driver, not a perfect one, a safe driver. And if you do make a minor mistake here or there, don't dwell on it. Show the examiner that it was just a one-off. And remember, your instructor wouldn't be putting you in for that test if they didn't think you were ready. So go in thinking positive. You are capable of passing a driving test, and you've got this. Good luck.